Good evening, this is Mr. Wintermelon. So in the previous video, we have learned about the transport network of the plant, which is the vascular bundle. So it consists of the xylem as well as the phloem. So in today's video, we are going to learn how the xylem help to transport the water which is absorbed by the root. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to relate the structure and function of the root hairs to their surface area and to the uptake of water and ion. So this should be familiar to you because we have learned this earlier on. You will also learn the outline of the pathway by which water is transported from the root to the leaf through the xylem vessel. So just a brief overview of the journey of the water molecules. First, the water molecules are found in the soil. Then, through osmosis, the water molecules will enter the root tissue or the root hair cell. And eventually, through osmosis, the water molecules will enter the xylem inside the root. From the xylem inside the root, it will move to the xylem inside the stem, and it will get sucked up. We will learn more about this sucky action up into the xylem inside the leaf. Then from the xylem inside the leaf, it will diffuse out through osmosis into the mesophyll cells, and eventually it will form a thin layer of moist, and the water molecules will evaporate and diffuse out through the stomata into the atmosphere. So first of all, let's refresh the structure of the root hairs. I have a seedling down here, and here are the root hair cell as well as the root hair. Just to refresh your memory, the whole cell is called the root hair cell, but the elongated part is known as the root hair. So the function of the root hair is to absorb water as well as mineral salt. And its adaptation is it is long and narrow to increase the surface area of absorption. It has low water potential due to the concentrated cell set. There are numerous mitochondria to release energy for active transport of ion into the cell. This is important to maintain a steep concentration gradient so that the water potential inside the root hair cell will be low, and water will move in through osmosis from a region of higher water potential inside the soil to a region of lower water potential inside the root hair cell. So the mineral salt concentration of the cell set in the root is higher than that of the soil. So this will cause the water potential inside the root hair cell to be lower than that of the soil. Therefore, water molecules will enter the root by osmosis. The water molecules will continue to move into the neighboring cell towards the xylem vessel in the root through osmosis before they get carried up the stem through three mechanisms. So what are the three mechanisms? Now, take a moment to ponder. The tree is so huge. Is the tree able to suck up all the water? Similar to how you suck up the water from the straw. If you are unfamiliar with the mechanism of how we suck up water from a drink, basically when you are sucking up the air, you are creating a region of lower air pressure as compared to the surrounding. So air pressure will push the water up the straw into your mouth. However, the tree is so tall, so it is actually not possible for the atmosphere to push the water up the tall tree. Instead, the tree relies on three mechanisms, namely the root pressure, capillary action, and transpiration pull. We will be covering root pressure as well as capillary action in this video. For transpiration pull, the term transpiration itself is a big part of this chapter, so I will dedicate an individual video for transpiration pull. Root pressure is very similar to how the root hair cell works. but instead, in the situation of root pressure, it is the xylem inside the root. So ions are also actively pumped into the xylem of the root, more so than the root hair cell, because it needs to create a lower water potential than the root hair cell to allow water molecules to travel towards the xylem. So this causes the osmotic pressure or the water potential gradient to be maintained. So this osmotic pressure is known as the root pressure, and it will cause the water molecules to be pushed up the stem of the plant. At the same time, the plant also experiences capillary action. So capillary action is the tendency of water to move upward inside a very narrow tubes due to cohesion force between water molecules and the surface of the tube. So if you have glass tube of different diameter, if you fill them up with liquid, the intuitive observation you would think is the water are at the same level. But due to the difference in diameter, some of the water level will be higher than that of the other. The glass tube with the most narrow diameter will have the highest water level. So this you can actually try it out at home. Find a transparent straw, preferably one with a very narrow diameter, then insert it into a glass of water, and observe carefully the water level. It should be slightly higher than that of the glass of water. As for the last mechanism, which is the most important factor, which allows the plant to transport water up the xylem, is known as the transpiration pool caused by transpiration. For this, you will have to wait until the next lesson for me to teach you in greater detail, because it is a very important process.